pick the first half of these frames and send them to one computer, and it's going to take the second half and render them on the other computer. They're not going to have the timelines set up the same way. So you need things like thinking particles to be cached. There's a few ways to do that, and I'm still figuring all of that out, so I'll do another video on that later. So anyways, let's go ahead and look at something that doesn't need cached. I have a time-lapse set up right here of a little mountain landscape that uses the sky object, and it just goes over the span of a day over about 90 frames. Actually, exactly 90 frames. But and it has the sky object, and it will just go ahead and over time it will update the time. So, and it has a landscape, and I've changed that to what I needed, and it's a lot of fun. You know, it's neat to have that render. I picked a different preset. I think time lapses are fun, by the way, so it's cool to have time lapses of the sky. And I could just toss in, you know, a quick camera animation. I could move my camera, from here. Let's go back to frame 1 and move it over here, just the tiniest bit over the time. So as it moves, it's going to do a time-lapse render. So if we hit render right now, it's going to start showing you some stars. So actually, it is still daytime in this render. So let's go to the very end. This one might show you stars. Here we go. So, just to give you a visual example of what I'm working on, what we're about to send to the net render. Not to actually waste your time, but, you know. Alright, I will pause as this renders. Alright, and as you can see, we have progressive pass 7 at the moment of this starlit night. And the mountain is right here, but, you know, you can't see it at the moment. So that is the final frame. And basically these stars are going to move over time, and you're going to get these really cool renders. So we have this really cool scene, and I want to send it to the network renderer so I can render out really, really quickly. So let's go ahead and check the render settings. I've already got it set up as a physical renderer at half HD resolution, which is 960 by 540. We're going to select all frames, make sure the frame rate matches the project settings, which are going to be right here. You can hit Command D on a Mac, and I think it's Control D on a PC. You can go ahead and set your save settings. I don't think you actually have to set the file location, but you should set what type of file. In this case, I want an OpenEXR. And I don't want to include sound because it doesn't have any sound. You know. So anti-aliasing is going to be Mitchell. Then we're going to turn off the default light. We're going to go to physical. We're going to make sure it says depth of field and motion blur, and we'll just set it to 2 for motion blur. We're going to do a progressive render, actually, and we're going to set it to 12. Actually, we'll set it to 6 for the tutorial to just go ahead and make sure that you, we're going to make sure that the progressive count is not too crazy for the final render, so it renders fast. And indirect illumination, we're just going to keep off. We don't really need it in this case. And then I have color mapping, so that the, well actually I guess I'm going to delete color mapping because that defeats the point of an EXR. So, because that'll map anything brighter than white, so anything with a white value of say 1, anything above 1, will be put at 1, placed at 1, and anything darker than black would be at 0, but I guess you can't go below 0. Anyways, that's how that works. So EXRs are very handy there. They have a very high dynamic range. So now we have our scene set up. And for those of you that see these gray bars and you're wondering what they are, you can hit Option V, go to View, and you have your tinted borders. And I've set my opacity to 50% and the border color to 50% just because it helps me set up things a little bit easier to see my aspect ratio. I can set up my, what is this called? Interactive render region window a lot faster. Now, as this slowly freezes, we'll be waiting for that beach ball to go away. The beach ball of death, it's terribly annoying. So, as soon as that's gone, I'll show you how to get that working. I might need to pause. And we're back. Okay, so basically, we have our scene with a sky object and a landscape, and these are the landscape settings if you're curious, just default settings, but then I made the y-axis of the size 300. I gave the width segments 400 by 400. Change these settings right here, seed value, and everything else, I believe, besides the scale, is the same. So what we can do now is go to File, Save Project with Assets. So let's save it. We're going to go to where I save my files. And that's going to be under NetRenders. And we're going to just save it right here. And we're going to call it time-lapse. And then we can just go ahead and go to our web browser and create a time-lapse job. And under time-lapse, we want to go upload, upload, and then we want to go to time-lapse and click time-lapse. Hit upload, and it'll be there. Then we go to jobs, and we hit start. And the time-lapse will start, and it will go on both of the computers. You can't see my IP addresses because I blurred them out. But you have the my HP Pavilion Tower from 2007. It has a 2.6 gigahertz AMD processor with 2 gigabytes of RAM, so it's not really that great. It's an old computer, but it works. It was good at the time, and especially for the price. Then you have my MacBook Pro. Both of them have the state of running, then the job name and the job owner, which in my case is the administrator, and then you have the frames that they're supposed to do and the frame that they're on. And as soon as it finishes that frame, say it finishes frame 0, it'll go to frame 1. It will then say to do 1 to 45. And then it'll show you the image, and you have the controls to reset, but I'm not going to hit those right now. So as this goes, which will take a little while, because it has to prepare all the scenes, it will start popping up images. So let's just go ahead and look back at here and see what we're going to be getting a render like. So here we go. And you can go to your IP address and then put the port in on your iPhone or Android device or whatever you want. As long as you have the sharing enabled so that you can remotely access it, you can actually access that address remotely and check your renders as you're on the go. I can do that with my iPhone, which is completely convenient. So with an OpenEXR, we can recover an image like this right here. So I'm going to leave it like that. I wouldn't recommend that for post, but for a time-lapse, you might actually get something that completely overexposes, unless you use something called bulb ramping, but that's another day and another topic. That's photography, but time-lapses are fun, so you can get some really cool stuff. And I'm going to pause while some of these go, and then I will show you some results as they pop up, and then we will wrap up. Alright, so we have a few renders to show. So the first computer has finished 2 frames, and the second computer is currently on frame 51 out of 46 to 90. So that's finished a few frames as well. So we're going to go into my Finder and look at this. So this is the NetRenders folder. Under here is time-lapse. This is where we actually saved the file. Now if we go to our NetRenders folder, which is the default in the server, if you recall, we have user, administrator. So basically, it'll give you a user folder, and then the user on the network that submitted the file, and then you go to the time-lapse folder, which is your job, and then you go to results, and you can go and actually click on these. So right now we have our clients, and it'll show you the renders, and they look completely overexposed or underexposed, but they look really good. Oh wow, that actually gives you some crazy detail in there. So OpenEXRs are fun because of that. So this only shows you the first 2 frames rendered because that first computer has only finished 2 frames. Now, if you want to make this really accurate, you need to animate the clouds in the sky object. As you can see, they're not animated right now, but you can see these actual frames as we step through them. The lighting changes just a tiny bit. If you compare this frame, to, let's move this around, to this frame, they are different. The shading is different. So anyways, those are where you can find your results, and then you can copy and paste them, move them wherever you want to the final place. And that, my friends, is how net rendering works. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it covered everything you need to know to get started. I think it did. If you have any questions about anything specific, whether it's dynamics or thinking particles or caching or just anything I covered, hit me up on Twitter at SamWalkerTV, or send me an email, sam@thinkparticle.com, and I'd be glad to help. I will try to do a few more videos on this topic. If you have more computers, you need to do this. It is incredibly helpful and resourceful. Some people actually have like 12 old computers in their garage, and if you hook them all up, they will take a while to render if they're old, but they will contribute. If you have 6 extra computers that render 1/10 the speed, you still get 6/10 of the computer you currently have. So anyways, that's why net rendering is helpful, and if you guys have any more specific questions, just hit me up. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.